We finally saw everything unravel in the first two videos, exploring Easter eggs you might have missed from chapters 1 through 18. I'm Meredith, and this is Honey Clover. Before we continue, allow me to give you a rundown of where the story is so far. Jesus' nightmare materialized in chapter 18. She caught Minchel and Ari lying next to each other. Let me preface and remind everyone, this is not a full recap but an analysis of every Easter eggs in the series. This video will include spoilers. With that, let's carry on with part 3. We jump to chapter 21, where we are shown a half-naked Teha on the phone encouraging Jesus to do something she's always wanted to do. We notice a scar in the middle of his chest. In chapter 23, we have a vague idea of Teha's condition during the confrontation between Ju Dongwook and Do Hee-ji. This was subsequently explained by Teha that he used to have a weak body and was always sick when he was younger, while cuddling in chapter 40. But as to him telling half-truth or evoking sympathy, we are still in the dark. Who was with him during his stays in the hospital? Was it a transplant or inflicted to him or something more diabolical? It's still a mystery to us and might be tackled in season 2. Remember in part 1 to keep Hwa-jung in mind, as she is the 15th clue. Janice faced Hwa-jung. We see her true colors in chapter 23 when Hae-soo was starting to welcome the idea that Taeha might be really interested in her. But Hwa-jung shuts it down by stating that it's highly unlikely that a young, handsome guy likes an auntie like her, especially the age difference, unless there was an incident where Jesus saves his life in the past. The story hasn't progressed enough where we know of Teha and Na Jesus' first encounter, but nonetheless, let's keep this in mind. No matter how mean her statement was, this could be a foreshadowing of a similar encounter. She again acted maliciously by approaching Teha in chapter 34 to tell him that Jesus might be lying, instead of clearing it out directly with Jesus. She was already doubting Jesus, whom she's no longer. I think she's Jesus' nightmare. Speaking of nightmares, by the time we get to chapter 25, the 16th Easter egg has been revealed through Teha's nightmares. A man standing in front of a young Teha lying on the floor with the whole place illuminated in red. Panel shifts to a view of an open door with a patterned rug directly across a grandfather clock, indicating 10 minutes past 10. The next scene is a close-up of a bloody Teha looking at the person cradling him. Teha's nightmare reappears in chapter 44, where we are looking through an arched window from the outside. A desk in the middle, the same patterned rug from chapter 25, but we now see an adult Teha sitting on the floor while leaning against the wall. As he was staring at the arched window, his eyes were slowly covered by mysterious hands, followed by a voice pleading to be allowed to escape, and that no matter what, never let his true feelings be discovered. Are these hints of physical abuse and being locked up in that room? Is this the chairman's room, given the desk placed in the middle? Or is it someone else's? Teha's past is gradually revealed through a series of nightmares, memories of past trauma happening in that same room. Again, more questions than answers. The next clue appears in chapter 31 and chapter 32 covers. A game of blackjack could signify a gamble at their budding romance. Hae-soo even initiated the kiss by the end of chapter 32. Although it caught Teha by surprise, he did reciprocate with an intense kiss. Notice that every time a significant moment happens between them, Teha invites Lee Jae for a board game. The first one is in chapter 32, which brings us to clue 18. The games. After that intentional kiss from Hae-soo, Teha leaves her to rest alone at a hotel owned by the Bohm family. He then calls for Lee Jae for a game of Jenga. The name comes from the Swahili word kujenga, which means to build or construct. I'm assuming this is Teha's plan to cement a strong foundation of trust with Hae-soo by not taking advantage of her during her weakest moment. Unlike Minchel in chapter 8 with Ari, we jump to chapter 41 after Teha and Hae-soo spends the night together. Teha calls for Lee Jae to play Monopoly, which could imply a strong longing to captivate Hae-soo completely, which I think he was successful given by her statements. I like it so much that I cried in chapter 39, and I like it, I like you in chapter 49. We turn to chapter 44 where we see a panel with clue 19, 2 roses on the table. The flowers played a vital role that conveys how Hae-soo feels. 2 roses often symbolize a deep connection and mutual affection and a promise of eternal love. But of course, we are just at the beginning of their blooming story, because we all know that a rose always comes with thorns. With that, is our clue 20, the warning from a shaman. Chapter 44 doesn't only come with lists, but also a premonition, a flashback of a young Nahisu and Kang Minchol sought a shaman for their fortune to be read. The juiciest part of the love fortune flashback. The shaman saw her with a younger man and warns her of a black-hearted leech that would skin her alive, which means it's Taeha and Minchol respectively. And finally, the finest clue of all is Haesu, the suppressed attraction towards Taeha. From the start, I think Haesu has been captivated by Taeha the moment their interaction began, marked as leaving a deep impression on me. While it's true that acquaintances do hang out in some cases, hers was an enchantment she herself could not explain, even when she was mentally distraught by Minchol's infidelity, and in the process of healing her own wound, thoughts of Taeha lingered in her mind. Thinking of Taeha's nightmares, she impulsively bought Taeha a teddy bear in chapter 25. In the next chapter, when Taeha took her to his special place, she wanted to be someone that Taeha can lean on, but instead it was her who is depending on him. In chapter 27, when Minchol visits and asks if she missed him, the first thing she thought of was Taeha. In later chapters, Taeha proposes to use him. She initially refuses as he was a nice kid. I'm going to continue with my Delulu streak and bank on the idea that the moment she kissed Taeha in chapter 31, she already succumbed to the idea of having feelings for Taeha, even though she might have second-guessed herself with the constant fending off in the chapters that follow. The notion that she won't see him again bothered her. And with her latest encounter in chapter 49, she said she's been thinking about that night more often than she admits it. Instead of answers, we have more questions until the present chapter. The biggest mysteries in the series so far is what caused Minchol's shift in personality. Why is Taeha so obsessed with Haesu? And what events could change Haesu's timid demeanor? What is the story about Taeha? Why the chaotic dynamic with Taehi? And why does he hate Taeha so much? More importantly, who is that woman facing Taeju? I know there's a lot to unpack. I'll be doing part 4 after season 1 ends. So while waiting, let's discuss in the comments. Do these Easter egg make sense, or it's just me being delulu and overanalyzing? I hope you enjoy watching the first 3 videos. I hope to see you in part 4. Matane!